Well, good afternoon. We're back. We are renovating or refurbishing Columbia 26 Mark II, and we are beneath the boat now, and the entire bottom of the boat has been sanded, and I've been working on the keel. And so I've been sanding some spots that have been rusted, and I've been feathering edges, and I've been using this rotary sander, which is pretty powerful, and it's allowed me to grind down the sanded areas and prime them. And in tougher areas, I've been using this wire brush as well as this one, and it's allowed me to get into places that this sander won't let me do. So, but what this wire brush has allowed me to do is to work around the perimeter where the iron keel is inserted into the hull. And so I've cleaned this up a good bit, and I haven't yet figured out what kind of compound I'm going to use to fill these areas up. But I am going to use a caulk and work around and make sure this area is filled here. And about 80% of it still has caulk in it, but about 20% doesn't. So I'm going to be able to fix that up and put some new compound over the top. And right here too, in the low areas, and sand it down and give it a sort of a racing finish. I think the keel and the hull below the waterline is in excellent condition. There could be a lot more labor hours involved in the average boat, but I would say this is in pretty good condition again. And so I got a few more hours to invest down here, and but I think when I'm through, it'll look nice. And why don't we go on up and go into the boat, and let me bring you up to speed where I am with that, and see you up above. Alright, well, we've made it up above on the deck in the cockpit, and what I'm going to do is show you what I've done to the boat since we've been on board last. I have gone into both areas beneath the cockpit and heavily sanded, thoroughly sanded. I'd say I probably have taken maybe 90% of the paint off of the fiberglass. I've done that with a heavy grit sandpaper, and then I came in with a 115 or 1500 psi pressure washer and pressure washed the entire boat, and that further loosened up any loose paint. And then I came back and I vacuumed the boat. So the boat interior wise is about 90% ready to be painted. In areas that are concealed, like underneath the cockpit, underneath some bunk hatches, the closet down below, and the forepeak. So we're going to go look at that real quick and give you a feel for what the boat looks like before it starts taking some paint. Okay, now we're down below, and so what I'm about to get ready to do, being that all of this has been sanded and pressure washed and it's ready for the paint. I've bought the paint, but it's not on me, so I can't remember exactly what the brand is. But I plan to paint in here and down in here. I'm going to thoroughly paint in there, as well as under here, and then underneath the sink and ice box, and get that all cleaned up. And once it gets painted, what I'm going to do is remove all of the hoses for the sinks, the water tank, and I think that's right. The sink, the 2 sinks in the water tank, and probably replace some of the wiring. But I'm going to do that only after I've painted. But some more painting is going to take place in this closet. So that looks rough, but it's been heavily prepped and cleaned and vacuumed. And also the bilge is going to be painted, and underneath this sink here we'll get some paint, as well as right here and in here. So everything's going to be very fresh when I'm done, as well as the forepeak right up there. And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to come back and try to clean again. I might lightly wet sand the fiberglass in here to see if I can improve the sheen, and or I'm going to compound it and wax it and see if I can't get it to really look brand new again. It looks pretty good in some spots. It hasn't been hit by the sun, but I'm going to try to see if I can improve it. And then of course the hatches that go here and here and other places throughout the boat have all been painted and are finished and ready to be put back into place. But I'm going to wait to do that when I'm more through with the boat itself. And with that, as you can see, I've taken out the windows, and I'm going to put some new windows in. And truthfully, I've taken this boat almost apart. I mean, there's nothing holding it together other than what's holding the hull to the deck. But I've taken all of the chain plates out. I've taken all of the jib tracks off. Truly, I've dismantled this boat, I think, as much as anyone could. And so I'm looking forward to putting it back together. And so we're going to go back down on the ground, and I'm going to show you what I've done to the hull. I'm going to start sanding the hull. I've sanded all of the transom, and then I'm going to show you a little bit of what I'm about to set out to do. I think to sand the hull from the transom to the bow on both the starboard and port side may take me between 11 and 13 hours each, which I'm not looking forward to. I'm using a grit paper, a 36 grit paper on a 5-inch orbital sander, and so I think it's going to be a pretty involved job. So it's the 1st of May, and I hope to be through with it by this time next month. As I've said countless times, I really can't do this in the middle of the summer with the heat and humidity in South Carolina. It still has a coolness to the air, and so I hope to knock the hull out within the next 2 weeks, if not 4. So let's go down below and let you see what I'm working on and what I've done and where I'm going with it. All right, well, we're outside, and what I wanted to show you is what I've done to the transom. I've sanded all of the transom except for this little bit here. I'll come back for that. But this is what I want the rest of the boat to look like after I start sanding it. And so this took about 2 hours. Again, I've increased the grit of the paper from 40 to 36 grit. So I think the 36 grit paper on this orbital sander will expedite my, my sanding project. And what I thought I would do is to show you how it's working. This took about 30 seconds, but let me try and do some more and give you a feel for what it's like. And again, I'm afraid it's probably a a 20+ hour job for one man to sand this boat. So not looking forward to it. So even though that felt like it took 25 minutes, it probably took more like 2 minutes. So that's the process that I'm going to do. Again, this took 2 hours. That's pretty much finished. So I was sanding this with 36 grit paper. I'm going to just do that the whole way around the boat, and then I'm going to come back with a 40 grit and a 60 grit, maybe even an 80 grit, and feather it out and look for some imperfections. The boat really doesn't have many imperfections on the hull. The deck, I'm not sure. I may have to do a lot of you know, patching of cracks, but I look forward to continue working on it and refurbishing it and enjoying it in the years to come. So I've enjoyed working it. I'm not looking forward to sanding the hull or the deck, but you know, it is what it is. So hopefully it'll go quicker than I planned, and I'll keep you up to speed. And again, if you enjoyed this video, if you would click the like button and subscribe, and when this project's over, hopefully within 12 months, we're going for a sail. See ya.